What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Cjthecheesedj here, and we are back with some more of the TLC videos, and today we're taking a look at the brand new Spino. Finally, something to rival the power of the Rex. Now, this guy has received a new model update, a new animation update, texture update, as well as some new abilities. You can see there straight off the bat, he already looks different. He's a lot more streamlined now. His sail seems to be bulkier widthways, but it seems to be smaller than what it was previously. As well as that, his mouth is a lot more narrower now, much more like a crocodilian's than it was before, like the bulkiness of it. Now, as well as that, his new abilities, you can make him a bipedal or you can make him a quadrupedal, whatever the heck you feel like during your movement throughout the arc is all dependent on this. Now, as well as that, he seems to move a lot faster now. As well as that, his movement abilities, not movement abilities, sorry, the way he moves looks a lot different, a lot better in my opinion than it did before. You can see he kind of waddles back and forth, which is very fitting for him. But one of the biggest things is his bipedal stance that he has. It is awesome that they have given him the power to stand on two legs. Now, we're going to cover the bipedal stance first. The difference between the bipedal stance and the quadrupedal stance is obviously he has faster movement speed while being on all fours, whereas being in a bipedal form he's slightly slower, but he does receive some cool additions to being in bipedal form. So while in bipedal form, he can actually spin on the spot. You can see there we're actually able to turn really easily in a 360-degree motion without having to move, which is great. Now, as well as that, he also receives extra damage while being in his bipedal stance. You saw there we were doing 241 damage to the Titanoboa, 241 to the frog. Now, if we come into our quadrupedal stance, we'll actually deal slightly less damage, 160. So there is a slight difference, you know, about 80 points of damage, which is a very big difference in between the two stances. But obviously, quadrupedal is used for mainly traversing the terrain because that is what is going to traverse very quickly, and you'll actually travel really quickly while being on all fours. Now, something funky is going on with the movement speed. I think it's the wind or whatever that is going on. Yeah, the windstorm is actually slowing us down. But the main ability that the Spino has received is that he actually gets a buff while being in water. Now, you can currently see in the top right hand corner of our screen, we've got the hydrated ability up, which I don't know why because we're on solid land. I think it's because the game recognized this as being underwater, which is weird. But if you actually stand in water, you can see you'll get a buff, the hydrated buff. The moment you step out of water, you'll have a 30-second timer while that buff is active, and then after that 30-second timer, the buff will disappear. Now, while this buff is activated, you'll actually deal increased damage. You can see there 185 and 277. Before we were hitting 160 on our quadrupedal form and 260 on our bipedal form. So this is quite a, 240 on our bipedal form. So this is a big difference, and it can make a huge difference when battling other creatures in the arc. Now, granted, not all the map is covered in water, but, you know, your rivers, your streams, your little lakes, you know, you can see we're walking on solid land here and we're still getting the hydrated buff. Granted, we are in the swamp, this buff still carries over for 30 seconds while being on land. Now, this is the biggest buff for, the biggest ability for the Spino in this TLC. Essentially, what this water buff gives you is extra movement speed, extra turning radius speed, as well as attack damage and bonus healing. Now, like I said, it does persist for a short period after leaving the water, that 30 seconds buff. I don't know why we don't have it now. It's a bit funky. I don't understand. Maybe because we're fully submerged. That would make sense. So if you are fighting in the water, you will get the buff. But if you are traversing underwater, you will not get the buff. So it seems like you actually have to be standing with the Spino to get the hydrated buff. You'll see here that it should re-trigger. Is it going to re-trigger? Okay, that's strange. Maybe we're going to have to get a new update that's going to fix all these little bugs. I don't know why the Spino isn't receiving the hydrated buff at the moment. It's a little bit strange. I don't know what's going on. But like I said, the Spino TLC is great. This is also one of the big receivers of the TLC in my opinion, because he just gets such a good boost to what he was before. But that is pretty much all he receives. Now, one other slight difference between this and the old Spino is that this new Spino prefers prime fish meat for taming. So before you could actually feed him prime meat, and that was like very powerful for him. It would tame him up really quickly. Now it's prime fish meat. But you can see there we've received the hydrated buff again. I think it's because we're on land, and yeah, I don't know, it's funky. I'm not sure how 100% works. There's no other further information that I've been able to find on it, but as long as you submerge yourself in a bit of water and then come out, or just hang around the water, you will get the buff. And it is a big buff. You can see that we are moving slightly faster because we have received the hydrated buff. But it's just awesome, this new buff. I really like the new Spino, and you can see these new TLC Trikes up here taking a lot of reduced damage from us. Where we were hitting 270 before, they managed to soak it for 180 damage. But that is pretty much all there is to the TLC Spino. I really apologize for the windstorm. Just always happens. None of these TLC videos have gone to plan. It's so frustrating sometimes. Alrighty guys, that'll conclude the TLC video for the Spino. That was pretty much all it received for the TLC. There's not much else I can cover on it. But other than that, thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed the video. But thank you for watching, and I hope to catch you in the next one.